Hello and welcome to the Manufacturer Sub Podcast. For the regular listeners, welcome back. If you're new here, thanks for tuning in to the podcast where we shine a spotlight on the people and the businesses driving UK manufacturing forward. From industry insights to real-world stories, we explore what's shaping the future of British manufacturing and the innovators making that happen. Now you know what we're about, let's get to it. Thanks for tuning in again for another week. Today I'm here with Neil Mead, the Marketing and Strategy Director at KUKA Robots. Neil, welcome on.
Good evening, Richard. Nice to see you. Nice to be on the podcast. Thanks for inviting me.
You're welcome. KUKA, some people may already know in the automation world. I'll let you introduce some of that. Who are KUKA?
So KUKA, in the UK, we're based in Wednesbury in the West Midlands. We supply robot arms, probably well known for the big orange robot arms, mainly focused on automotive for many years, but now in lots of general industry applications as well. So right across the manufacturing industry. As I say, in the UK, supplying out of Wednesbury, where we have a sales and service organisation, office, and our college as well for training, which is usually pretty busy. So we offer a full training setup there. And then wider than that, KUKA is a global organisation headquartered in Germany, in Augsburg, in Bavaria. Started there over 125 years ago. So, very well established, long history of engineering. The company started with gas lights in the street lamps, and then when electricity came along, they moved into welding using the same sort of gas technology for welding, and then into the automotive industry with robotics, or certainly with welding to start with, and then robotics. And big customers in that area, as you can imagine, Benz, Daimler-Benz, BMW, Volkswagen Group, still big customers. And then they went out from there into other industries. The robot, as we know it now, the 6-axis electrically controlled robot, they really are sort of supposed to have invented it around 50 years ago. So there's lots of sort of slightly different takes on that, but we would say that in the 1970s, that robot sort of was developed and into a similar sort of design as we see used today.
They're all very similar, aren't they? But I was saying when you're obviously, I know obviously KUKA is the big kind of the orange robots. But there is, I think in the past, one of your competitors used to have orange robots as well, didn't they?
I think orange has been used by a few. Yeah, I mean KUKA's well known for it. I think originally the color was to let people see the robot for safety reasons. So they're moving around in a factory and they need to be seen. So it was kind of a safety thing, but then became the corporate color, which we're still using now.
One thing you said, you're in automotive, but I think part of kind of perspective, I think is the industry. So I'm also from like an automotive kind of background and know KUKA as automotive, but going to certain events and shows, obviously like the NEC each year, is you see other brands that are much kind of higher, like a bigger presence in different industries. So some people may have not known of KUKA if they're from the pharmaceutical industry or from different industries. So you're mainly automotive.
Well, possibly that's true. No, we were mainly automotive, but I would say over the last few years we've moved into more general industry applications. So the UK automotive industry is a little bit limited. Jaguar Land Rover is a big customer, BMW Mini as well, but generally because we've wanted to expand, and the automotive is limited in the UK, we've gone into other industries. Clearly, the biggest manufacturing sector in the UK is food and beverage. So we're in food and bev, and other fast-moving consumer goods, pharmaceuticals. You mentioned. I think you're pretty much going to find KUKA robots in every industry sector really these days.
Yeah, and especially obviously with the range as well, isn't it? So you've got now you've moved on to AMRs and so small industrial robots, what everyone likes to obviously call cobots or collaborative robots.
Yeah, so we've got a range of smaller industrial robots that used to be termed cobots, but we have to be a little bit careful now how we phrase that. But yeah, we've had a range of those for a while, and there's certain applications where we think a small robot like that will be suitable. But otherwise we have a full range of industrial robots from sort of 4 to 6 kilos, 10 kilos, and all the way up to a ton and a half and everything in between. And as you mentioned,
Titan, is it Titan Ultra now, isn't it? The big one.
So we've just launched the Titan. So we've had the Titan for quite a few years, and that's a 1,000 kilo robot. And we've just launched the Titan Ultra, which is a ton and a half. The main reason for that, again, is a little bit automotive driven, and the automotive industry does drive automation generally, and the robotics industry and the developments, because they're very demanding. So if a robot works well in that scenario, it's going to work well anywhere else. and they needed a big robot really to move around. It's for used for body in white, so actually picking up car chassis, and they're getting heavier because of electric power. You know, EVs. The actual bodies and the chassis are now much heavier, so we've had to upgrade the robot, and they're able to lift those and move those around.
So is this something? Is there any kind of bigger ones coming out sooner? Are they, or is the ton and a half still the heaviest at the moment?
At the moment, the Titan's our biggest one. I don't know. Who knows? We may have to develop something even heavier duty and bigger and stronger in the future. But let's see.
Have you seen over the years with people trying to save cost and kind of automate as much as possible? Have you seen like a growth in the sales of robotic systems over the years?
Yeah, not as fast as we'd like, of course. You know, I'm bound to say that, I suppose. But I've been involved in the manufacturing industry covering robotics and automation in one way or another for the last 20 odd years. And we have seen a steady increase, a steady growth, steady development within the manufacturing industry of the use of automation. But it really has been slow, especially in the UK. And I think that's well known. There's various reasons for it, and I'm sure we'll come on to that later. But it's been a steady growth. We've had various events along the way that I've thought was going to be the main catalyst that was going to really kick it off and see it grow much faster. First, we had Brexit, and I thought, you know, Brexit, we're going to need more, or there's there's going to be a shortage of labour, so we're going to need to invest more in automation to replace some of those people that are no longer available. Kind of did a little bit, and then on the back of that, or on top of that, then we had COVID come along, and I thought, well, this is really going to be the thing that really kicks it off, because you know robots don't get sick; they can work 24/7, and you know maybe this is going to be. And it didn't quite work out like that. A little bit. So all these events have had a small effect, but it hasn't really grown at the sort of pace or level that I thought it would, or that I feel it needs to. It's easy for me to say that, you know, I'm not a manufacturer; I haven't got to spend money on capital equipment. You know, we need to, as a country, you know, UK PLC, we need to be making stuff, and we need to be making it more efficiently and at a lower cost. And really, the only way to achieve that is by introducing more automation, whether we
Exactly,
like it or not.
100%. So I was reading something the other day actually. It was only 2 or 3 days ago, put up in Gov UK, and it was about the automotive industry, and we're lagging behind, and it's we're about 15% lower than last year on the car production. So this is something I'm quite passionate about, really. I've posted quite a few times on LinkedIn about where we should be investing in our own automotive industry, and especially with like the public purse, really. Like police cars could be UK built vehicles, and we can up our numbers in UK's like vehicles being built just by using the public purse or public funded vehicles. But it's another story that kind of drives me crazy, really. I mean, this is another kind of sector where if we did grow it, there's more robots being sold, there's more automation being sold to keep up the demand and the numbers.
Yeah, definitely. You know, automotive industry in the UK has really struggled. Jaguar Land Rover had their own issues, obviously, towards the end of last year with the hacking into their systems, and they had to shut down production for a while, which definitely affected volumes. But yeah, there's so much disruption in that industry with EVs, and now we've also got lots of vehicles being imported from generally the Far East. So yeah, so competition is really fierce in that industry, and what we can do about that, whether we can have more UK automotive manufacturers or not, I don't know. It's a tricky one. And you know, it's not just the actual automotive manufacturers themselves. There's all of the suppliers as well into those that rely on that industry as well. So you know, a lot of them are using automation and robotics as well. So it is really a key one for us. But when I'm talking about manufacturing, I do think broader than that. You know, we really need to be making more things here and importing less. And as I said, in that case, we need to lower our cost base, and a way to do that is to introduce automation.
100%. So this one thing for me as well. Obviously, hence the hub is all about visibility as well.
Uh-huh.
Example, obviously, being a large car manufacturer is knowing the businesses in the UK, all of them, which can help you, which can help manufacture your components. For everything, for me, is visibility. There's hundreds or thousands of manufacturers in the UK which can like produce components or produce the automation machines that are going to build the cars as well. So yeah, there's hundreds of businesses all relying on this industry.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and as I say, if it's not automotive, it's others. So yeah, we will see how that pans out, and all we can do really is offer the technology, and try to educate the market so that manufacturers are aware of what's available. So if they do have an application or a problem or a project they're working on and they want to automate it, um, or they find that's going to be the most efficient, cost-effective way of producing whatever it is they're going to be making, then we need to make sure that they're aware of what's available out there and not be put off by the fact that they think it's going to be really expensive, complicated. Our whole strategy at the moment, and one of our strap lines is automation but easier. So we're trying to make automation easier for everyone, easier to understand, easier to implement and integrate and use.
One thing to add on that is it does obviously, like you said, it doesn't have to be expensive. But until I found out, I think last year sometime, or as we're starting Hub, is that I didn't realize that KUKA themselves sell pre-owned kind of robots as well. So at worst case, if you haven't got the investment money like yourselves, you've got pre-owned robots as well that can help with dimming down the cost a bit.
Yeah, they are a bit more cost effective, and also from a sustainability point of view. And that's one of the reasons we do have refurbished robots, is because if a robot reaches its end of life, and I've seen robots running for 20, 30 plus years, they will keep going. The hardware's very tough. It's normally the electronics which pack up first, but even then you can replace a controller and keep the actual arm going. But generally, if a robot reaches the end of life, or it's going to be swapped out, replaced for a new one for whatever reason, we take those robots back. They go back to Germany. They go back through the factory. If it's really past its best and we can't reuse it, then it's broken down and all of the parts are recycled. Because we use a lot of steel in our robots, so whatever we can reclaim that material, we do. But if the robot's got any life left in it and we think it can be refurbished, it goes right through the factory, comes out the other end just looking like a new robot again. And it has a full warranty, but at a lower cost. And we have a full range of them. They're always available on the website for people to have a look at. Uh, and it's, sometimes it's a good cost effective way for people to get into robots and automation. And they like the idea that it's had a life already and it's, we're ticking our sustainability boxes with that.
So it depends on the industry as well, because obviously me being from a automotive background, see some of these robots might only last the lifetime of that vehicle being produced. So if it's only 5 years, I mean, some models they might do like a facelift. It might last another 5 or another 3, but some of these robots might only actually be on a project for about 8 or 10 years. So there's still plenty of life left.
Absolutely. No, that's true. It does obviously depend on the environment they're used in as well, and that's the number of cycles it has and how heavily it's used. But they're pretty tough things. They'll last a long time. You're right with some of the lines. If we'll talk about automotive again. If there's a model change or something, and they're swapping the robots out on the lines, they will either be repurposed in the factory or sent back and refurbished by us, and then they have new ones. But generally, in general industry manufacturing, the manufacturers try to keep the equipment going as long as they possibly can.
So
And
do you
again,
think,
that's another little problem with the lack of investment. They quite kind of like to get their value from their investment in equipment, and I completely understand that. But sometimes they run it past where it's been most efficient and could be improved, and they could be have something that's just going to produce more of whatever it is they're producing quicker, more efficiently, and more effectively if they just made a little bit of investment in some equipment.
do you find these robots as well? I mean, over the years they're getting faster, they're getting more efficient themselves each when you're bringing new models out.
Yeah, that's important. Energy use is a big topic, and it's huge cost as well. So if we can make the equipment more energy efficient, clearly that's good for everyone, and that is something that's always being worked on. So every generation of robots tends to be what we make sure it is more energy efficient than the previous one. There's lots of developments and that the arm itself, the steel, the development of that's very mature technology. Although there are some tweaks and design changes, it's more in the controller and the electronics and the operating system, which really makes the biggest difference. And that's where we see the biggest advances, and where we can have energy efficiency and just general efficiencies all the way through the system, to be honest with you.
So if someone was looking to kind of automate a project and they wanted a KUKA robot to say, do they normally come straight to you, or do you have any partners? Do they go to like an end user, and then they specify one of your robots? How does it usually work?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. So quite often the end customer will reach out to us first because we're promoting ourselves as a big-ish brand and the products rather. They'll come to us and then we would evaluate that inquiry, the project, the application that they're trying to, whatever it is they're trying to achieve. And then from that, we would introduce one of our system partner integrators because they are the experts in bringing all of the various other ancillary equipment and other things that you need to be able to bring the system together and make it work. And we have a number of those that work with us, and generally they're specialists in a specific sector, a specific area. So we would sort of introduce the right partner for the right job, really.
Yeah, I was gonna say about obviously the end users, the smaller manufacturers. There's hundreds of automation or machine manufacturers out there in the UK, but yeah, they are categorized really into food and beverage and nuclear and automotive and different areas. So you've already got partners in each kind of sector. You can easily kind of pass people on to.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's critical to the successful installation and end project. To be honest with you, having the right partner is key all the way through, whether that be the supplier like us or the integrator that the end user is working with, because building that trust and partnership is really crucial. They've got to have trust, and it is a partnership. That's the way we see it. Okay, they're an end user customer, but it's really building up a rapport and a relationship with both the end customer and the integrator in between, so that everybody's happy with the end result. It's a good payback on it. It's working well, and then hopefully they get confident in the equipment and the automation that they then think about looking at other applications for it and investing in some more equipment.
Yeah. So with this, I mean, normally when projects go out, they normally go to kind of multiple businesses for quotes as well. So do you have kind of multiple businesses in each area so they can go and get different quotes? Because sometimes it's driven on the idea of the designer as well, isn't it? So the process might be you've got to put this here or you've got to assemble this with this, but the designer at each business might have a different way of doing that same process.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, if we get an inquiry, we will only take it to one integrator, but then sometimes a customer might also go to, another integrator themselves if they're local, because the decision of which integrator to use can be down to the application, or it might be geographic. If they're having somebody that's close by, and they may have approached them, or they might approach another business. So sometimes there's a little bit of sort of competition, I guess, between them. But we always make sure that if we take a project to an integrator, it's only one at a time. Sort of simplifies the whole process really, and hopefully, as I say, helps to build that trust.
Do you kind of stock many the robot arms in the UK as well?
There's some in stock, yeah, but generally they're built to order. So there's a little bit of lead time on them, but because each robot is really very specific to whatever application it is you need, and there's lots of options for them as well. So it's unusual to have two that are the same. So it's not a stock item. So once we've evaluated the project, we've discussed it with the integrator, we know what options are required on the robot or in the controller, what software is going to be needed on it. That is ordered from the factory in Germany and built to order, and then delivered direct to the customer from there.
Not too bad. Obviously, it's not a massive lead time on them either, is it? Just obviously weeks really,
No.
rather than months or years. But
Yeah, it depends. I mean, if it is a bit more of a stock item, if it's a simpler application like palletizing, for instance, and that they're a little bit more standard, and so they're available a bit faster. But yeah, if it's a complicated configuration and there's lots of options required, then obviously there's a little bit longer lead time. I would say most robots 6 to 10 week delivery lead time.
one question I've asked quite a few people on the podcast already from different automation backgrounds is, what do you think? Do you think automation steals jobs?
No, we've got to be careful what we say here, haven't we? Really, because that's the problem. Sometimes automation or robotics, particularly, gets a bit of a bad rap because people think that they replace people. Now, I guess there may be the instances where that's true, but those people are probably doing very boring, repetitive, mundane tasks, and that's what robots are really good at, and people get bored with. So, okay, you may have to put a robot in to do those tasks, but the idea is that you retask the people that are very good at multitasking and tasks where you need some dexterity, thought, um, into other jobs. Ultimately, if a company's investing in automation because they want to be more efficient and grow the business, that should then lead to more opportunities for more employment and more jobs. And it does happen. We've seen it. So yeah, it's hopefully the reputation is a little bit improved these days as people start to understand the benefits. And if we look at the Far East, for instance, so we rely on China. It's the factory of the world, they say. It's where they're manufacturing most of the goods that we're using, right? And they've got a lot of people. And traditionally, they've had low cost labor, and they just throw people at the jobs. But they're investing more in automation than the rest of the world put together. They're installing more robots than the rest of the world put together. And if they're investing in automation and robotics, then that really does tell you a story, I think, and make you realise that we really need to be doing a similar thing if we're going to compete.
That's yeah, definitely a great answer there. So for me, it's yeah. Well, there was one thing that so government was saying obviously before Labour, and it was a case of they were saying that they want more skilled jobs in the UK. And for me, my perspective of this is that we're losing less skilled kind of repetitive jobs, the boring jobs that no one necessarily wants to do, but we're actually creating more maintenance and engineering jobs, so more skilled work. So we're actually creating more kind of skilled workers out of it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Robot programming and design and of applications and everything involved with automation. There are a lot of skilled jobs and around that, that we're creating. A lot of the applications and projects are simulated first now. So we build a simulation of the line and the robot, whatever job it's going to be doing, and create the whole system in the virtual world before we commit anything in the real world. Now, that's quite a skilled operation to be able to build a simulation. It's also of interest to younger people coming through who have grown up in a more digital kind of world. Everything is kind of digital these days. And, we've talked about Industry 4.0, 5.0, digital factory. That's all coming together now, and hopefully is going to be of interest to the sort of next generation of engineers, people that are coming through. And as you say, there's going to be a lot of new skilled type jobs there, and we need people to fill them because we've already got a skills gap, and finding people that are interested in getting into engineering and manufacturing is quite tricky.
Yeah, definitely. It's a giant trade as well, isn't it? Whereas it's such an interesting kind of industry to be in. It's definitely one that I think youngsters should be looking more to get into rather than I see them just trying to get into, say, social media or things like that.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm pleased to say that they do. There is sort of a bit of an uptick in the interest in engineering or what we're doing. We're attending quite a few education focused events this year where there's lots of students coming through who are interested in learning more about robotics, because I think robotics is getting covered a lot more in the general media. Okay, they sometimes focus on the humanoid type robots. However, robots are robots, and that if it gets kids and youngsters interested in the technology and the possibilities, and that's good. And as I say, we're going to these events, and when they come along and they understand a bit more about what we offer and what we can do with our technology and all the skills you need, and they love the simulation, the virtual reality type stuff that we do, and they really get interested. So it's really making them aware of what we do and what's out there and what the technology is involved, and hopefully that'll help to bring them through and get them interested in coming into the industry.
So you let them interact with these as well, don't you? Rather than just watching them, you let them kind of play around with robots as well.
Yeah, absolutely. As and when we can, we take a safe demonstration along, using our smaller robots that are safer to be used around people. We let them drive the robots, as I say, play with the simulation tools, try the VR headsets on, and really get them interacting as much as possible.
So obviously you've spoken about events, obviously with the STEM and the kind of student events there. What other events you guys doing this year? We go to the big exhibitions, the NEC. Is there any this year you're going to?
So this year is the main trade fair for us and for our industry is MAC at the NEC in April. So April the 20th to the 24th. It's a whole week. The big show. I'm sure most people watching this podcast will be aware of MAC. It gets covered quite a lot. It's our main in the UK. It's our main industrial show, and I know there are others, but this one being a week long, it gives everybody an opportunity to go along there. There's big equipment, there's everything that you probably need within the manufacturing environment. You can see it all working, ask questions, watch presentations, and learn a lot. So yeah, so we'll be there. We'll be there with our range of robots. We'll have our simulation partners. So part of the KUKA group is Visual Components, and they'll be coming along with us and showing what they do as well. Very sort of complex simulation projects, and we'll have some of our AMRs. I think you mentioned AMRs earlier. That's autonomous mobile robots platforms, and we're going to have a whole area demonstrating those and what they can do. So yeah, it'll be worth coming along if you're free in April and you want to come along to the NEC and see some impressive equipment. We'll certainly be there and be welcoming you along to our stand.
Well, I just want to touch on to the AMRs there as well. So for people that don't necessarily know, obviously these autonomous mobile robots is kind of they're more for the warehousing and kind of moving the pallets around kind of industry, aren't they? Really?
That's where they've traditionally been used. Yeah. So until recently, AGVs, so autonomous guided vehicles, yeah, they were being used. So they follow a track in the floor. But AMRs have come along now because of the sensors, GPS technology, and the developments in those areas. They're now completely autonomous and safe to move around within factory environments as well as warehousing and logistics. So yes, they can be moved. They can be used to move finished goods on pallets around, and you'll find a lot of them. And there's a lot of potential as well for them in logistics and warehousing, but also now moving into the factory, taking raw materials to the production line and taking finished goods away from the production line and into warehousing. So they're kind of fitting in the whole process, and they range from fairly small 250 kilo payload up to 6 tons. We've got two, you can put 2 3 tonners together and they'll work in tandems and carry 6 tons along. The software that goes along that plots them, so you can have multiple units moving around within an environment, whether that be a warehouse or a factory. The software plots those, and then they can work quite safely within that environment, driving around, and then they go back to charge when they need to. All of that is again, it's advances in software technology which has allowed this to happen. And yeah, there's huge potential for them and a lot of interest.
I've seen them in one of the automotive factories I was in, actually. I think they had about 8 or 10. They was using them for a different purpose. It was to do with making automotive components. Yeah, it was nice to see them going around. We had fixtures on top of them, and they was driving through different cells. I think they had about 4, and then they'd go back, obviously go on charge, and another 4 would come out, and it's quite interesting to watch.
It is, yeah, and the beauty of them is because you don't have a track in the floor, you can easily reprogram and repurpose them. So if your factory layout changes, or your warehouse layout changes, you can easily, reprogram the AMRs to take account of that. Whereas back in the day with AGVs, you were a bit stuck because you've got tracks in the floor. So yeah, that's an interesting new development and an area that we're seeing a lot of growth and interest in.
So I won't name the company, but there's one of the big automotive companies that I've been into, and they've got rid of a lot of their tugs that go around towing the components down the line, and they're using, so it's about double, I think, double the amount of AMRs, obviously because of the speed of them are slower than the tugs. But there's a lot going into some of the projects I've seen.
Yeah, they can move, they actually can move quite quickly, but it does depend on the environment that they're in. Lots of safety sensors all over around them so that they can operate where there's people also moving around the area. But yeah, as I say, they've really finding quite a lot of interesting new sort of applications for them at the moment.
Do you have any? I've seen some like forklift ones as well, forklift ones, and do you have any like that, or is yours mainly just the base unit?
Yeah, so at the moment in the UK, we're really focused on the base unit, so the platforms, mainly to move, say, pallets around, or as you say, some fixtures on them to move other parts. But we have a range of forklift ones coming on along this year because there is a need for those as well. So yeah, you'll see us launching that probably mid this year or towards the end of the year.
Ask that again. Looking ahead, are there any trends or technologies you think will shape automation investment in the UK over the next few years?
Well, we've touched on the AMRs, and that's where we're really seeing a lot of growth. So mobile robotics. I think because of the coverage that robots are getting from the humanoid side, there is a general interest. So I'd like to think, hopefully, that we'll see a growth. In what areas? Well, I guess the smaller robots. So where we've talked a lot about sort of the more collaborative type applications. I think there's going to be a lot of interest and growth in that area. We've already seen a lot of cobots being installed, but I think we're moving into a bit of a time now where companies are going to look at something that's a little bit more industrial, can move a little bit faster, and really make the most of the efficiency available from a robot and automation. They might have tried a cobot, realized it's worked reasonably well, but they need to sort of upgrade and maximize those opportunities. So I think we'll see a bit of a growth in those. And then at the other end of the scale, I guess the larger robots as well, as we've already mentioned, we've got some really big robots like the Titan Ultra that's come along. And I think we're going to see some other applications using bigger robots. That's actually going to be a bit of a growth area as well. So kind of the two ends of the spectrum, really.
That's because how small the smallest one goes? I did what you said about 16 kilos. Is it smaller than that? Is that the biggest one?
Well, I mean, we've got a 4 kilo robot, so right down to a small one like that. But the kind of average 10 to 30 kilos are kind of the average sizes, really, or average payloads that you look at. We've got a 10 kilo Agilus robot, which is very popular. It's a fully industrial robot, but with software, it can operate quite safely, with minimal guarding. But we've now got a new Agilus Ultra coming along this year. It's just been launched actually, and that goes up to 16 kilos. So it's a popular robot, and now we can offer this additional payload version as well, which I think is going to be pretty popular.
And people will be able to see this if not in person at Mac.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. We'll have our full range of robots on display at Mac. I think they'll be quite impressed. We'll also have all the software, so you can come along and have a go with that. Look at we have a digital catalog that we'll have available, so you can go through and have a look at our robot guide, and that leads you through to sort of the right robot for whatever it is application you're looking at. You put the payload, the application in, and it kind of generates the answer as to what robot you should be looking for.
That's good for people to know. Hopefully they can see them this year as well. Obviously after the launch, you was actually one of our first, say, businesses as well on the hub. And what did you see the hub? What made you join?
So I think the manufacturers hub's a great initiative, really great idea. So bringing in everyone together into a community, I like the idea right from the start, and we're all about supporting manufacturers and helping them to understand what equipment's out there. And as we've already said today, it's really about education. So once they know what is out there, they know what they could use and how it will help them. And I think what you're doing with the hub is really bringing all that together under one umbrella, so that they can go in there, they can find a supplier, they can find an integrator, they can find the equipment they need, and then not only that, get in touch with them and ask questions and really learn a lot from just going onto the hub. So yeah, I saw that right from the start. I think it's great, what you're doing. I think it's great to see it grow. Hopefully it will continue. And it'd be nice to see everybody getting involved.
Thank you for the recommendation on there as well for businesses. Yeah, it was great to have you on first of all. And I was straight away, as soon as I saw, I think of you as a massive name in automation, really, KUKA. So as soon as I saw obviously you join, I was like, wow, like this is definitely a goer really for the site. I just found that I didn't really want everything behind closed doors, and that's why we wanted everything open. You can find the integrator easily, you can find the supplier easily. We shouldn't have to fight against SEO or Google Ads or thousands of SMEs out there that can't be seen because they're too busy competing against other businesses just for the top space on search engines.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's what it's all about. It's visibility, really, isn't it? So as I said, manufacturers or anybody that needs some automation equipment knows where to go, or if they're unsure of where to go, rather than just sort of Googling it or just search around on the web, they can go to the manufacturer's hub and find everything they need in one place. And that's the idea. And I just think it's a really good initiative. I'm really wish you all the best with it, and look forward to seeing it grow further.
Thank you very much. I was like, being marketing and strategy, are you very kind of like brand? Everything's brand. So do you find everything you wear is orange?
Well, we do like to have a little bit of orange. So you can see I've got a bit of orange on my shirt. We don't like to go over the top, but yeah, we know we're well known for being orange. So all of our merchandise and branding is very very heavily orange, and yeah, it's a pretty strong brand, and we have certain guidelines that we have to follow to make sure that continues, and hopefully captures the attention.
So that's the main thing, really, brand awareness, isn't it? It's just making people aware that who you are and what you do and how they can contact you.
Yeah, absolutely. We like to think that we represent quality engineering, great customer service, good design. The robots and all of our equipment very carefully considered when it's designed, and now, as I said, ease of use as well. So we want to make sure that we make the equipment and automation and robotics as accessible as possible. I think that's the key. It's been viewed over the years that it's expensive, difficult to use, difficult to program. You need to be specialist. But now we need to dispel those rumors or ideas and make people realize that actually it's much more open than ever. The developments in technology has made everything much more accessible and easier to use, and hopefully that pays off in the near future.
Just kind of touched on really, I just wanted to ask the question of, for businesses that are kind of stuck in the specification of using other robot brands, is why should they think about using KUKA? What instead of being specified and stuck between one brand, is there like something you can kind of put out to say this is why you should take a look into using KUKA instead?
Well, I think, as I've already said, the design, very carefully considered. We make sure that the robots are very user friendly. They've got good longevity, so you'll get good when you invest in them. They're going to last a long time. They're going to deliver for you. The controllers very energy efficient. We've touched on that as well. Ease of use, but I think the main thing really is backup. Service backup, and making sure that if you've invested in something, I mean, we're all consumers. If you buy something and you spend a lot of money on it, you want to make sure it delivers and it works and keeps working. And if there's a problem, because invariably you're going to get a few little problems along the way, but those problems are dealt with and solved quickly. So we really major on customer service, and that's really crucial. So yeah, that's something we really make sure that we deliver on as well, and hopefully that's a differentiator for us, and something I'd encourage anybody interested to check out and come and speak to us first.
And if they're stuck, just say they're a machine builder and they're stuck with any kind of software, you've got guys that can come and do the programming of robots as well.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, we work with integrators, so generally the robots would be programmed and installed by the integrator, but they're backed up by us. We're a large global organization. And we have a lot of service engineers available in the UK, but then we can also draw on the experts and in Germany, where the robots have been designed and built anyway. So they really know the equipment inside out. So if there's anything we don't know or our guys don't know here, we can certainly draw on that expertise and make sure that the customer gets the best service possible.
Right. So I think I've touched on everything really of the kind of topics I wanted to obviously ask you about. But is there anything you want to add as KUKA?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've covered a really lot of interesting and important topics today, and I don't want to kind of go over things too much, but I would like to think that if a manufacturer is looking at trying to improve their efficiency and profitability, give automation a bit of a chance, have a look at it. And I'm still surprised, because I've been in the industry for quite a long time, and I think that we've got the message out there, and we're always the events, and we're getting articles published, and we're advertising. We think everybody knows everything that we do, but actually it's quite surprising that there's still not a bit of a lack of knowledge in some respects. So yeah, I would say, please think about automation, think about what you're doing, have a look at it. But if you've got a new job coming along, a new product you're going to be manufacturing, try and think about how the process could be automated from the start, rather than going ahead and doing it and then trying to automate it afterwards. It's always easier to do it from the beginning, and you'll get the maximum efficiency and profitability from that. Yeah, if that's the sort of my message. Try and consider automation from an early stage. Don't be put off by the perceived high cost, and we can certainly help you.
Great call to action there as well. So thank you for being on the podcast anyway, Neil. I say thank you everyone for tuning in for another week. But I say it's a lovely to talk to you on this and have a more in-depth conversation about KUKA and the new products that are coming out and where you're going to be this year. So thanks for being on.
Yeah, my pleasure, Richard. Really good to speak to you, and I hope everybody found that useful. And please contact me anytime if you've got any interest in robotics, or we can help you at all. All the best. Take care. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the podcast. If you enjoyed the conversation and want to hear more from UK manufacturing, be sure to watch the podcast on the Hub or subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll be back soon with more stories. Till next time, keep innovating, keep investing, and keep UK manufacturing driving forward.